Hello and welcome to my second Modern Daily Event Constructed video series here on MTG Madness. This time I'm going to play the daily event with one of my favorite modern decks for the upcoming PTQs, Big Zoo. I wrote an article about it right after the Pro Tour. Check it out if you want to know more about the specific card choices and how to sideboard with it. The main deck pretty much is the same as it was right after the Pro Tour. I have been playing Canonists over Voices for some time because there was a lot of Storm and other fringe combo decks that Canonist shut down or put a lot of hurt on, but those have mostly disappeared and the format bounced back to a more mid-rangey, grindy, fair matchup style format, as it has been for most of the time of its existence, which is why I just went back to the voices that I had around the time of the Pro Tour. Yeah, there are a few small changes in the sideboard. For example, I replaced the Fracturing Gusts with Creeping Corrosion, just because Bogle seems to be mostly gone, and that 1 mana cheaper makes a big difference against Affinity, and Affinity is a deck that we really have to beat and is one of the rougher matchups, so I wanted the Corrosions just because they're cheaper, even though they are less flexible. Also, Shadowstorm seemed harder to cast than Corrosion, and I haven't seen a Welding Jar in pretty much forever in an Affinity deck, so there's not really a downside to Creeping Corrosion over Shadowstorm in that regard. I also added a Singleton Grim Lavamancer, just as like additional board control against decks like Pod, Affinity, or Twin to control their more fragile creatures and get them off the board for free, rather than having to waste like a Lightning Bolt or even a Pass to Exile on them. I also added 2 Mind Sensors to help being able to beat an active Pod, and also because they are pretty helpful against trying to beat Scapeshift, because sometimes they have the burn spell for it, but half the time they probably won't, or even more so, because there's also creatures that they have to try and kill to not die, and they also need to find a lot of other pieces to combo you off in time, so sometimes they just lose to the Mind Sensor in response to the Scapeshift. And also you can protect it with the now 5 Counterspells. I added a 5th Unified Will, because I removed all those like Storm hate from the sideboard, like Rule of Law and Canonist, because it seems like there's not that much Storm going on anymore. If you look at GP Minneapolis, for example, and the 5 Counterspells together with the Band Charms still do an okay job at trying to squeeze games against Storm. Sometimes they just lose to a well-timed counterspell on one of their attempts to go off the turn before you are able to just kill them. Also, Scavenging Ooze makes it hard for the Past and Flames to get going. So all in all, we are still okay if we face a Storm deck. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. I have 5 cards against Affinity, just because Affinity is still one of the major decks to beat, and one of the rougher matchups for the deck. The 6 main decks right now after GP Minneapolis seem to be Affinity, Junt, Pod, Twin, Blue-Red and Blue-Green-Red, Scapeshift, and Blue-White-Red variants. Mostly probably control heavy, but maybe Sean McLaren's new combo control hybrid take will catch on and people might play that. There's also like some lists in between with a couple of creatures and the regular spell suit, kind of like a blue-white-red modern flash deck. Matt Costa posted a list a while ago like that, so that makes Voice of Resurgence a lot more valuable, and Junt being a real deck again also lets Voice shine. If you have a turn 2 Voice, turn 3 Liliana looks pretty silly, so which is pretty much why I like Voice over, say, Kasali Bright Mage like Kipler ran. Kipler has like 3 Kasalis over 3 voices, but I feel like the amount of help they give you in the fair matchups such as blue, white, red, and Junt outweigh the utility gained by Kasali, because I felt the blue, white, red matchup hinges quite some amount on games that a turn 2 voice can win for you, and a turn 2 Kasali, they would just burn and keep the momentum. So yeah, that's it about the deck so far. So let's dive right into the event. See you in a bit when the first round starts.